Okay, so we're recording now, Alex. Just want to make sure that you're happy with that and happy to continue.
Of course.
Okay, so got Alex on the channel today, and he submitted a portfolio of around, I think there's probably around 20 photographs. Am I right, Alex?
Yeah, correct.
Didn't count off the top of my head. Yeah, there's some beautiful images in there and giving me lots to think about and lots to pick your brains about, which we'll
Yeah.
get into now. But firstly, yeah, just if you could just tell me a little bit about yeah, just a brief overview of your story and why you're out with the camera creating photographs. That would be a great starting point.
Yeah, okay. Purely for escapism, photography for me. I am a manager of a busy garden centre up in Surrey. So I have about 50 something staff that I look after. I love my job. I have a able to go inside and out within my job, but I'm very much the outdoor nature person. So I use it just to refresh my mind, rewind when day gets hectic and I have to fit it around my job, children, hectic life. Yeah.
Yeah. You
So
mentioned a little bit before about you dropped in and out of photography. You've been doing it for
yeah,
what,
yeah,
20
yeah.
years?
So well, yeah, what am I, 48 now? So
Right.
I sort of picked a camera up when I was a bit longer when I was 16, but I just played around with it. My dad
Yeah.
used to do wedding photography. So I probably got it a bit from that. I was used to watching him in the dark room, etc. I never
Yeah.
really done that. I started with slides and chucked away more than I ever enjoyed, normal sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I then just played around it about 10 years. Then I unfortunately, I went through a divorce that then sort of knocked it out of me a bit. I sort of
Mm.
couldn't focus, whatever reason. That was about 6 years ago, roughly. And then I picked it up again properly, I suppose, about 4 years ago again, where
Right.
it's re-enlighted a bug that I always had.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it's just great for the soul. That's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that use of the word soul there. I'm sure that'll
Yeah,
give us plenty to get
yeah.
into a little bit further into the conversation.
Mm.
So would you say that your love of photography has deepened since that episode? And has that, would you say, reflected in your photographs now compared to perhaps beforehand?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely deepened. I hope it reflects more than when I look back on my past photos, my photography's got better. And
Yeah.
I take a lot more time now. Like, for example, 90% of my work, so I use little tripods, and that's purely to slow myself down so I can think about stuff.
Yeah. As you're
And
talking, I'm just going to
yeah, no,
slide
that's
through a few of the
fine.
photographs of people.
But yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely, I just hope to get a bit of atmosphere across, or um, it's just so people can enjoy it. It's more my family, unfortunately, as normal.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all your greatest admirers anyway, aren't they? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
um, I've started to get a bit of a following that people are liking my photography, but I
Yeah.
don't do it purely for that. It's more, I'd still do it if no one saw it.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, and
Right.
that's something actually that I felt really reflected in your portfolio, particularly when I was looking through some of the woodland work in particular. And we
Yeah,
mentioned a little bit before about how you've grown up around woodland, and woodland has been in your heart for a long time.
yeah,
From my eyes, looking at these
yeah,
the portfolio, you've sent a diversity of photographs, but for me, it's the woodland ones that I can see more of the connection and perhaps the personal reasons for doing photography. There's a definite kind of depth to your
yeah,
woodland photography that I see, and it's the craft in some of them as well that I think, in particular, going back to something like this, for example, that I can see that there's been a lot of time and attention, paid to some of the details within the photographs. And I'm just going to fast forward to one towards the end. I mean, this one in particular as well. This was another one that I really stopped and spent some time with and saw the intent behind the photograph, and I could feel the deeper connection with
yeah,
subject and with location as well. There was also, I mean, there's a few of the woodland photographs that I'd love to get into a little bit more as we
yeah, cool.
go further into the talk. But there was also this one as well. This one I thought showed a particular depth, a particular craft, almost a flow, and I could tell that you probably spent quite a bit of time with this
Yeah,
scene and in this location, perhaps
yeah,
to find this scene. So I'll just go through and share the
cool.
rest of the photographs with the video so that people can see and get an idea of your work. There was a particular kind of use of light that I liked in some of the photographs as well, that I think shows well, I mean, it shows your experience and shows your attentiveness to the to the photographs. This one made me laugh.
Yeah,
This one brought a little bit of a smile to my face actually, coming up to the end.
that was the
Um,
whole idea.
sorry.
That was the whole idea.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it actually showed a bit of personality because we
Yeah,
had some, going back to some of the woodland work again. This photo in particular as well shows a bit of depth, shows a bit of mystery, and perhaps, yeah, you mentioned before the word soul. I certainly
yeah,
felt some. I mean, I personally prefer to create soulful work as well, and I certainly felt that level of connection with some of the photographs. And then I came to this one at the end, and I just thought that there's a perhaps another side of your personality coming into the body of work there.
yeah. I just love that one just because it was one of them photos. I was trying to do some heifer photos in a local heathland.
Yeah.
Local farmer releases about 5 of these every year
Mm.
in a place in West Sussex. And he just wandered up to me and literally stood sort of 10 feet away from me. So we just looked at each other for a good 5 minutes and then just did that. And I had my camera and it was one of them shots I just took. And I
Yeah.
thought, it was just me and him in the
Yeah.
heather.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And beautiful that you mentioned it was just you and him looking at each other for 5 minutes. Did you say that's quite a theme in your work, that level of perhaps spending some time with
Yeah,
subjects and location?
yeah, it is. I mean, luckily where I am, West Sussex is quite diverse in I can get quite a lot of different places, coast, woodland, downs,
Yeah.
within quite a minute. So you get to know areas, but I like to I won't get my camera out straight away. I will sit or stand. Hopefully I usually remember my task, my flask of tea. So I can
Yeah.
sometimes pour a cup of tea and just study what is going on nature-wise with me. I mean, there's sometimes obviously when mist is starting to disappear, you then get that panic moment. Go, actually, I've got to take a photo. But we
Sure.
can't stay around too long. But for example, this tree here, which is in Petworth Park, I mean, it's a massive sweet chestnut, and it's a footpath on the side that a lot of people just walk past. And I honestly think a lot of people probably just look at it as a tree and don't
Yeah.
see it
Right.
much. And I waited and waited for this is about 2 years because I was waiting for a proper mist or fog to come in because behind it drops down to a valley of where all the road deer and that are.
Right.
But I wanted to isolate the background
Mm.
because I just love the shape of the tree. I
Sure.
mean, like a triangle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love trees, so I work with plants and stuff as my job.
Yeah.
Um, and I intentionally wanted to make it black and white to make it a bit more graphic. I just like that tree, so it's one I will visit time and time again for different reasons. But
Mm.
it's a bit messy behind. Look,
Yeah.
a hill behind it, etc. In the view, more trees. So this
Yeah.
is just perfect. And I must have spent about 5 hours that day in Petworth because
Really? What, just with this in this
well,
scene,
not with
this
this tree.
location?
I was about 2 hours on that tree, I suppose.
Wow. Yeah.
I saw one other person walking their dog.
Yeah.
That's the earlier photo you saw with the other trees and gentleman walking. That was the only other person I saw for
Right.
5 hours in
Yeah.
Perth, which is usually quite a local spot for everyone to go walking.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to go out in the fog that day.
Yeah. Yeah. Why
So,
not?
yeah, precisely. So yeah, I
Yeah.
time permits, I will take my time.
Yeah. You mentioned that to many people, this is just a tree. So
Yeah.
what is it to you?
Oh, it's just strength, isn't it?
Mm.
Strength. But if you, I mean, everyone goes through stuff in life, don't they? And
Yeah.
we know we all have good days, bad days, etc. I just find that I grew up. I mean, my mum. I have to give it to my mum. She's a person. She didn't wear shoes for 4 years. So that sort of lady. So we used to
Yeah.
go shopping with no barefoot. But when she would make me hug trees, which I know sounds really
Wow.
funny, we would go and
No,
hug.
no.
You feel the strength for that. That is all you need, mate. You know, so it sort of come from there from my mum.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So it
Yeah.
just, yeah. I don't know what they get something back to me. I don't
Sorry.
know. I can't explain what it is, really.
I'm just
I
struggling
said they
with
give something back to me. I don't know what it is.
yeah. I've just been struggling with connection. Is that better?
Right.
Can you hear me
Yeah, I
okay
can
now?
hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was just
No.
saying, came back to me. I don't know what it is.
Hmm. Well, I've been reflecting quite a lot on this myself recently about the idea that it's the soul within connecting perhaps with the soul without, and perhaps that is the soul recharging its batteries when we get outdoors into nature, and
Yeah,
perhaps we're feeding from the energy of Mother Nature and perhaps the spirit of nature as well. And it's revitalizing
yeah,
us.
precisely.
Yeah.
And also, what you don't see about the trees, the underneath, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the root system's drawing up
Yeah.
from
And I
the
think
earth.
that's a great cue to get over to this photograph now, which is you called it Roots of Life.
Yeah,
Yeah. What was the intent
that
behind
one.
this one?
Well, this one actually, I was late to work for this one, so I had to phone in and say I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. Which luckily my work are quite understanding.
Yeah.
I'm because I drove over some really nice hills in Surrey on the way to work. So there's, it goes up to like 500 feet. So sometimes there's like quite a nice low cloud basin that
Yeah.
sits amongst Leaf Hill Hills and Surrey Hills.
Right.
And it was just one of them mornings. I was on my way to work and it was looking fantastic. This was taken probably about, I can't remember, 3, 4 weeks ago. So it's quite a recent one. I pulled over in a lay-by and thought, I've got to go and have a look. And I sort of
Yeah.
knew where this was. Quite a short walk when I found it, and it's just the root system. The light was coming down from behind, and I just thought that tree's been there. I don't know how old that tree is, 150 years probably.
Yeah.
I'm estimating, and the root system's exposed, and I'm thinking, what's that tree seen in its
Mm.
lifetime compared to we're quite minuscule in comparison to some trees. Our,
Mm.
our time is short here, isn't it? And
Absolutely.
I just think it's intertwining with everything, isn't it? And helping things and the biodiversity of a tree. I mean, we can't live without them. I mean, the amount of nature that uses them, let alone us.
Absolutely.
And I was just trying to show the root system to say, we all need that sometimes, a bit of
Yeah.
stability in planting,
Bit of
with your
grounding.
feet. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome. Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I love how you compose this as well. It almost gives the tree some grandeur with how low you are, and perhaps
Yeah, yeah. So
personifies it a little.
yeah, it was slightly higher than me, so I was able to shoot from a low down position, luckily. And I
Yeah.
wanted the root system here. It goes on beyond the corner of the frame, so it was quite hard to try. I mean, I used a wide angle lens, but I mean, I could have done a pano, I suppose, but then I think it might have been lost slightly because it would just been the root system.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of show that the tree was quite big as well, and I wanted to come out of the corner to draw you in.
Yeah. I can sense the depth of your thought process when looking at
Yeah.
some of these photographs in particular, and how you're I use the word intention. I use that in my workshops quite frequently, where,
Okay.
we need to have some intention behind what we're doing and why, in terms of the height of the tripod, angle of lens. And I can
Yeah.
see, based upon my own craft, that you've used similar kind of approaches and been really intentional about what you're doing, and whether
Yeah.
that's a conscious thing or an unconscious thing, I don't know. But I can see what you're doing in a lot of these photographs, and I think it adds a certain level of depth and interest to me. And I'm somebody who likes to look beyond in photography to perhaps get an idea of a person behind the photographs, and I could definitely
Yeah.
get an idea of who you were as a person when I was looking through some of these. So I mentioned a few words. One was quiet, stillness, intimate. I think a lot of your photographs focus more on scenes within an entire scene, and whether that's something that has developed or whether that's something that you've always done, I don't know.
Mm.
But that intimate was a word that I used. There was a softness to lots of them. A lot of them are, soft lighting, mist, even a softness of composition. For this one, for example, it's not a shouty in your face kind of scene, and there aren't many that really shout at me. They're kind of whispers more than anything, I think.
Yeah.
Mystery, delicate, and imaginative as well. Those were some of the words that I noted down whilst looking at your body of work.
No, thank you.
Welcome.
I've worked hard at it. It's because, as you know, whenever you start, you just take photos, don't you?
Yeah,
And I think you have to look at yourself sometimes, think, why am I doing it, and what's the reason behind it?
yeah,
You know, I, I don't mind if 1,000 people see it or 10 people see it. It's more about the process for me. I enjoy being out with nature, and I enjoy the process of looking at a scene and composing and thinking, trying to get the best out of it I can. And if then someone else likes it afterwards, I'm thinking that's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more for me than anyone else. But if
Yeah.
someone else likes it, it's great.
Yeah. Would you say that you have a collection of favorites from within this portfolio, Alex?
Yeah, I like the roots. The last one I did is one of my favourites for various
Yeah.
reasons, just because what we talked about. Um, I mean, I must admit, I find like the one you got there, I find autumn quite hard to photograph.
Right.
I love autumn, but I mean, I like the beginnings of autumn where it's just starting to change, and then
Mm.
it doesn't get too sheltered because sometimes, like the previous one with the silver birch, I mean, I like that, but it's not for everyone. It's very very yellow, so
Mm.
it's because that was on the same day as the chestnut tree I took, and I literally wanted someone to walk through and waited. I
Right.
tried various ones with me standing there, but I thought, no, that's not what I want because it's me in it. I want someone else to
Yeah.
portray that it's. I didn't want it slightly made up. Really, I wanted it. Someone else was out for a walk, contemplating their life or etc., and wanted that to come through on that
Mm.
photo.
Mm.
Um, I like most photos for general reasons, but the roots of life I like. I like the
Yeah.
poppy one.
This one.
That simple one, poppy tracks.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, poppies have been very hard to find this year. Yeah, and that was on the East Downs near Brighton.
Right.
Um, I went up for a walk with my other half and my children, actually, funnily enough. And there was a storm coming in, and we just waited and waited. And as the sun was setting, the storm came across, and it produced that peachy pink glow, which a lot of
Yeah.
people would go, that doesn't look real, but that is how it was.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of tweaking and that was just, I like the tracks going up to the hill, thinking, what's behind it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want
No,
to
and
know.
that,
I want to know what's behind that.
yeah, and that's it. It leaves that sense of imagination and wonder in this photograph as well.
Yeah.
Really gives me that impression of taking a walk up there through the poppies and into that light as well. And yeah, I can sense the realism with that. You tend not to do too much to your photographs, I can tell.
No, I do. I like them to be roughly as you sort of see them, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I do. So I turn my phone off.
Okay.
Obviously, do I use Lightroom a lot. I don't do. I clone stuff out that needs to, but I don't put stuff in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I do local adjustments, etc. But I won't try and go past what needs to go past.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I can feel that as well. Are there any other photographs in there that you would say are your favorite?
I can't. Do you know, you'd have to flick through again. I can't remember what I sent you, to be honest.
Right.
That one I like.
Wait, this one or
That
the
one.
woodland? This
Yeah.
one.
No, the woodland one. Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I like the beach one as well, but that's for a different reason. But this woodland one was I like because it's a very known woodland near my way. It's usually quite busy. If
Yeah.
and I've been trying to get the cliche of bluebells and mist for quite a few years, and I just so happened this was my day off in the week, and so I checked weather maps, and it said there was going to be potential of mist and stuff. So I went down,
Yeah.
and literally there was absolutely no one else there.
Right.
Oh, and I
Yeah.
was down there for about 4 hours
Yeah.
before I had to then do a late shift later on in work because I had to go in anyway. And so I had the whole woodland to myself. So it's a
Yeah.
bit of managed beach woodland on an estate, but it's gorgeous usually.
Mm. Mm.
And you can get lost in composition sometimes, can't you? So it's trying to simplify a bit of composition, really. And I just loved this tree in the middle. Yeah, it was drawing me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the framing of this one in
Yeah,
particular. I think that this one is probably amongst my favorites
yeah,
in the collection of,
yeah,
because you've got a few similar
yeah. Because it was the same
style.
woodland, yeah, but
Yeah.
woods. But this is one that I settled with, and I,
Yeah.
mean, I remember sitting here with a cup of tea. I sat literally where that photo's taken.
Yeah.
And I was just astounded because there was no one else around, and it's
Mm.
quite a big estate where even sometimes you see gamekeepers, anything, and I literally had the wood onto myself.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the moments I could just sit there, and
Yeah.
you could even lay down and look up, close your eyes if you wanted to,
Yeah, yeah, and that's something I think I'd have
which is
done. I think I'd
always
have
good.
taken a yeah, yeah. No, this one in particular, there was a few I was looking at because to my mind, I'll
Yeah,
segue into this now. What I
yeah,
like here is how you've given the edges some breathing room here
yeah,
on either side, where a couple of the
yeah.
additional trees, not the main subjects, but the
No,
additional secondary trees have got some breathing room. There was some. And you've done the same here, where there's a little bit of
yeah,
breathing room on the edges. There was a couple where I felt personally I'd have done things a little bit differently, like this one, for example,
yeah.
where this tree is just intersecting that edge of the frame.
Add out a
Uh,
bit.
sorry.
What, crop that down a bit?
Well, personally, that's what I'd have done. I'd have eliminated this. I don't like anything intersecting on the edges of those frames.
I
Like
agree.
here
Yeah,
as well, for example,
yeah,
it's just a little personal preference, and you
yeah.
can
No, no, no. I totally agree. Looking
take
at it,
from that what you want. It's
yeah,
just it just tends to take my eyes. I don't know what it is. It's like my
yeah,
eyes beeline for the edges when
yeah, I agree.
there's something there. But again, here, you've left some space here, which gives me a clear pathway, and my eyes aren't tempted to veer off somewhere else on the edges. Um, yeah, and again, a little bit of something here, maybe perhaps I'd
Yeah,
have
that one
tried
I
to leave a little bit of
struggled a little bit with the cropping on it. To be honest, uh,
yeah,
I just like pine. I like the smell of pine. Uh,
yeah,
Whenever you go into pine wood, it's just got a different smell, isn't it, to other deciduous woods? So that was the idea of this photo. I just wanted the pines and obviously heather.
yeah.
But yeah, I did struggle with this. I didn't know whether to crop it down to a square, or it was one I've will have to go back to at some point.
Yeah. Well, another thing, a thing I did like in this was the addition of this
Yeah,
little, I don't know what plant that is.
but that's another type of heather. Funny enough,
Right.
yeah, just a little white one, I think. I
Yeah.
can't remember the variety of that one. I haven't looked it up yet.
Right. No, I really like this. And this is a bit of a theme in some of your work where you've included additional little, this is the craft and piecing the place together
Yeah,
like a little jigsaw puzzle, I feel. And for
yeah,
me, without that there,
be
this
too much.
pine then would probably be too heavy in the
Yeah,
frame. But actually, I feel like that adds a sense of balance to the photograph there,
got like a
which
little triangle type thing, really.
yeah,
Yeah,
you've got this
otherwise
going on,
it'd
haven't you?
be a bit heavy one side, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I like that. There's a few, and again here where I think
yeah,
intention again, where you've intentionally included just some further details to the
yeah.
scene that, maybe some people wouldn't notice,
Take
but
that one out. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. You could, I suppose, took some leaves out if I wanted to make it cleaner, but I quite liked it.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for leaving them in unless it's a dust spot or something like that. I think it would be
Yeah,
personal preference would be to leave
yeah,
everything in there. But this works again. I like the addition of even here little things in the
yeah.
in the edges there that just add some further
I mean,
detail.
sorry, that's a personal one of that's another personal favourite of mine, really, because it's a bridge my kids play on.
Right.
Got a connection with it for that, you see.
Yeah.
Everything's got connections, isn't it? In a way, I think photography is quite powerful to you as a person, isn't it? Rather than not always to the outer person looking at it.
Hmm.
I try. I've got visions of my son swinging his legs under that, just looking down,
Hmm.
seeing if there's any fish when I
Hmm.
take walks there. So it's not a very well known place, actually,
Right.
local, but yeah, it's a local place as well.
Interesting that you say that about, photography being powerful from a personal
Yeah,
standpoint, because I don't know that's a common theme in photography where people consciously think about the power of their own, stories and their own memories in photography. I mean, from how I can see it, there's almost a bit of a split in photography where some photographers perhaps are including more of that artistic intention behind their work, and then perhaps some are perhaps more focused on, going to certain places to photograph certain places. There's no right or wrong, but it's just
no,
interesting that you have mentioned that for you it's a personal thing. You're trying to leave perhaps a piece of yourself in your work, would you say?
I think so. I mean, I would like to, get a collection of photos like this together and make a nice book that when I'm depart this world,
Hmm.
that my children have got a book of connections so that they could then look through and go, oh, I remember going there, take my children there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
that's a nice spot. I remember that going there with dad or family, and that, rather than it just being lost,
Sure.
that's just a walk.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's what I want to do eventually. I'm not there yet. It's an ongoing, as we talk about it,
Yeah.
it's something I'll probably be doing for the next 10 years or so, or put up, yeah. But that's the idea.
Well, it sounds to me like you're well on your way there
Yeah,
because of the level of, I guess, thought you're applying to your artwork as a whole, as well
yeah.
as perhaps more as individual pieces that have their own stories as well. I think there's perhaps an artistic voice there.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, more than I thought, I think, until I started talking.
Yeah,
Because you look it all in to yourself, don't you? I mean, you might have other halves or wives, husbands, whatever, a family. They're always interested in what you're doing in your work. But if they don't have the same um, level, if they don't do photography or whatever, or any art form, it's they just go, that's a nice photo, don't they?
yeah.
So sometimes when you get talking to someone, you go, actually, there's a reason behind it, or the depth in it, or I've done it because of this, rather than just it's a nice bridge with autumn colour.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's where I hoped that I could offer something with these kinds of calls, actually, in terms of the further questioning to, allow
Yeah,
people to go a little bit deeper. It's something I've spent a long time doing, really, inside of my own work, is, sitting with
yeah.
my journal and
Yeah, I've read,
and
I've followed some of your work and read some of your stuff, and so
uh,
yeah, I get it
yeah, yeah,
totally.
yeah. So let's get into a few more. There was a couple, for example, places where, I
Yeah,
mean, it's beautiful. I can imagine that was a stunning morning
yeah,
conditions wise, and
yeah,
to me, I try to eliminate places as often as possible, and I'm not so
yeah.
drawn to seeing photographs of
No,
obvious
no.
obvious places.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I don't do a lot of places to be honest either. I can't remember why I put this one in. I think it's because it's Arundel Castle, which is local to me, and I
Yeah,
spend a lot of time in Arundel. But as I say, I mean, actually, this is the first time I've ever shot Arundel Castle, to believe it or
right.
not. It was just so happened it was this was pre-sunrise, so it was blue
Mm,
hour, and it was cold.
yeah.
And I got up and went out and thought, oh, and I just went down to a spot and thought I'll photograph it, and it's the only one I've sort of ever done of a iconic place, really, I suppose. And
Right.
it was just for that reason, really. I
Yeah.
mean, I spend quite a lot of time in Arundel, just walking around the duck ponds. They've got play park there for the children. But yeah, I understand. I don't do a lot of places.
Mm. Would you say there's something, if we were to push aside the fact that it's a
Yeah.
location and place, would you say that there's something in here that speaks to you as an artist, a photographer? Would you say that there's a theme in here that you enjoy that perhaps represents you?
Yeah, I mean, I just like the misty tonal feel of it. I like the way it's drawn me in through the river and up to the castle, and you don't often get mist hangs around at the base here. I like the tonality, so I didn't like it. I didn't. I could have stayed around and got quite a colourful sunrise because it did happen afterwards. But I
Yeah.
thought, no, that'd just be overpowering. I just wanted it subtle.
Mm.
Because it just draws me in, really. I mean, there was a red buoy on the left of this boat that I cropped out because it was drawed your eye too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's subtle, really. The subtlety of it for me. Uh,
Mm.
it makes me think that castle's been there how many hundreds of years. What's
Sure.
gone? I mean, in past generations have gone up this river to it. Saxons, Normans, whatever. You can look into it, can't you? And look at
Mm.
the history of things. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if that answers it really, but that was
Well,
um,
yeah. I mean, it adds
yeah,
adds adds more layers to it. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
say.
that was the reason. And funnily enough, there's a funny story that goes around to Castle. Really, when I was a boy, when I was about 12, my dad's a retired builder.
Right.
So they had scaffolding around it for years and years and years, redoing it. And we used to drive past, and he used to pretend that it was. He used to work with my granddad, and he used to always pretend that him and my granddad were rebuilding Arundel Castle, which I
All
believe
right.
absolute years. I used to go into school saying, my dad's building Arundel Castle. It wasn't until later that he told me, just one of them things. Story that goes with it, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's always got an attachment that way as well that I'm
yeah,
always going to remember. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. There's a definite, again, quiet,
Yeah,
still reflective. I'd say
yeah,
reflective, perhaps
yeah,
look, and
yeah,
you're out before dawn. It takes a certain
yeah,
person to want to get out before dawn.
yeah.
I'd
It's a nice
personally
time,
say,
isn't
why? Why is it nice for you?
it? It's just, I'm quite a chatty person. I like people, but I also like the peace and calm and tranquility.
Mm,
Like I'm someone I will drive to work with no radio on. That's my time. I like it to process, think, get thoughts in order, get ready for the day, etc. And I do that on the way home as well, so that when I get home, I'm sort of grounded to come in from work and I'm fine, rather than batter my brain with loads more noise and because we take a lot on in this day, in this life,
mm,
don't we? I think,
mm,
and I think we have to make time for ourselves.
mm.
So we become better for other people.
Yeah.
All of
You could. Sorry, were you gonna
yeah.
say something else
No,
then?
no. It was just saying the best we can for some people. It's. I think people skip over that sometimes. It's so easy to just judge or just to say things without thinking about it or what
Mm,
effects that might have. It's. I think if we all took a bit more time to just stop for 10 minutes, think about
mm,
what you might say, how it might do, or
mm.
how you look, or that sort of thing. Yeah. So that's
Interesting.
why I like going out in the mornings.
Yeah,
I don't get out as much as I'd like to, but obviously,
yeah,
just that's just how life is. But I do it as
yeah,
much as
yeah,
I can, and it's just that time where you can reflect.
yeah.
It's more about. It's not always about the photo. It's more
Absolutely.
getting out.
Mm,
Don't always get a photo.
mm. I really like what you said just a moment ago about how,
Yeah,
you perhaps becoming a better person
yeah,
for the sake of other people and using this as your process to do so. I think
yeah,
there's a real beauty to that about using photography more as a therapy, healing modality, whatever, insert term here, but using it for a purpose that suits the world more so than just for a sole, purpose.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wrote I wrote yesterday, and you can take from this
Mm,
what you want, but I wrote an essay yesterday about how certain photography mornings are a spiritual cleansing. We can spend 2, 3, 4 weeks between photo shoot mornings, and we adopt baggage and damage and pain, and you adopt things from things you've heard in news articles, for example. But morning perhaps like this, when you're out before the dawn, you have it all to yourself. You're ordering your thoughts, you're reflecting.
yeah,
To me, it's a spiritual cleansing. It's like a click of a flick of a button inside that just resets, and then you can get back to
yeah,
giving parts of yourself away to society again.
yeah. No, yeah, totally agree. I mean, that sounds normal to me. you know,
Yeah.
I know that sounds not normal, but that sounds like a normal sort of process that
Yeah.
is, as you say, we take on daily baggage of everyday life. It can minuscule things that will build up sometimes. A lot of people deal with anxiety and what I might find hard or anxious to some people like you wouldn't, but I do. And so we
Yeah.
all go through our own journey in life, don't we? And you have to find your own way, but there's certain ways of resorting your stuff out to help. And photography definitely helps me on that front. More
Yeah.
than I realize, more than I realise. It's the last 4 years I've realised more and more as
Sure.
going through the process of this journey of photography that it helps me more than just taking the photo.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm grateful to be having this conversation with you.
Yeah,
What seems to be a pretty interesting
yeah,
point in your journey into
yeah.
photography,
No, definitely.
whereas perhaps reaching new levels.
Yeah, no, definitely. It makes me think about it more talking to someone about it.
Yeah. You mentioned just a moment ago about perhaps we're all finding our own way in life, and is that a kind of idea behind this photograph? Walking the solemn path.
Yeah, this. I mean, I was obviously standing about 20 feet behind this gentleman. I've been taking the picture of the large chestnut, which is just down the path from here, and this is a little glade of beech woodland that you have to walk through on the main path in this park. That obviously a lot of people will walk through. But he was just out on his own. He had no dog, no partner with him, etc. I only said good morning. He said good morning and carried on walking.
Yeah.
But it made me think, what sort of day is he having? Is
Mm.
he okay? He might
Mm.
be in a really good mood. He might not be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's out walking, sorting his thoughts and life
Mm.
out, or he might just be walking to get home.
Mm.
I don't know. And that was, that was a reason behind this. It was more to make us think that sometimes, it's the age-old thing, isn't it? You can be in a party and still be alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't matter how we are as people, we are still bound within ourselves, aren't we?
Mm.
We're our harshest critics.
Mm.
What other people don't necessarily see, we look at it harder sometimes. And I think this just is illustrated that sometimes we are on our own journey and we have interactions with people on the way that
Yeah.
make us for something.
Yeah. There's a word that sprang to mind when you were talking
Yeah,
about your thoughts about this gentleman.
yeah,
To me, I don't think many people would have stood there and wondered about this guy, what sort
yeah,
of days he having, what's he going
yeah,
through.
yeah,
To me, that shows a level of empathy, perhaps, that you have that is maybe forgotten
yeah,
generally in the world. Empathy and
yeah,
perhaps a desire to ask a question and perhaps a
yeah.
desire to just understand somebody else and sympathize or empathize with
Yeah,
whatever
definitely.
he might be going through. And that's
But you
perhaps
just don't know, do
another.
you?
Sorry,
I
you
said
don't
you just
know.
don't know, do you? No.
No, exactly, which can lead to us, having more patience and
I think
acceptance and
so.
understanding.
I
So,
mean,
yeah,
I don't know how you notice how the world change. I mean, the world's always going to change and always will change, doesn't it? And always has done.
yeah,
Whether it's changing to a place that we sit comfortably with or not, is we have to obviously take on some bits of the world, but try and carve our own way on how we like to live ourselves and what impact we can have with people, the world, environment, whatever level you're at. We all have
mm,
a thought on it, whether that's good or bad. Um, but I'm very much someone that if I'm out, I would always say good morning or hello to someone.
yeah,
Not if they are what they are. I just that sort of person because it's just polite and you never know. So I might stop and go, actually, that's the first time I've spoken to someone
yeah,
in 2 days.
yeah,
Also, some people live quite isolated, don't they?
mm,
And I think, if we're all a bit more good morning, how are you? It sparks a bit of conversation with someone and you don't know what impact that has with people.
mm.
The better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well,
Person.
yeah, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I try my best to speak to people and have conversations when I can. Sometimes I feel depleted and I
Yeah,
hide
of
and
course.
go and do my own thing, but that's fairly normal.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
going back to what you just talked about then, about how the world's always changing, it is, and I believe personally that photography can have a huge impact on the world that we're creating tomorrow because we're all, you know, consciously or unconsciously creating the environments that we're living in. So,
yeah,
like you touched upon before, the idea that you're going out and, perhaps then building upon what you said with when I said the spiritual cleansing, perhaps that is our way of making this world a better place and adding some beauty and perhaps understanding. And that starts with decisions that we can all make today to say, we have the power to do something
yeah,
different and make a change. So let's use it. And for me, certainly photography has been that. The camera has been a tool more so than anything for me. And having had this conversation with you now, Alex, it certainly seems like you're on a similar journey to make something different and make something better with your camera and your voice and your vision
yeah,
too.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not the best person for social media, really. I post on there. I mean, I suppose really, after talking to you now, what I can do more of is give if I ever when I do post on that, give a vision of what the photo means and why I'm doing it,
Mm,
rather than just saying lone walker in woods. Hope you like it.
yeah.
Sometimes I think, yeah, I've definitely you've inspired me now to look at how I interact with anyone that looks at my photography. Because I mean, even my family, I generally do it because like my aunt likes looking at my photos because she
Yeah.
doesn't live nearby. But I don't give any reason why I've taken that photo. And I'm sure if I spoke to her, she'd talk to me like you have. Why have you taken this photo, Alex? What's
Yeah.
it, you know? And I think a lot of us could probably do that a lot better, which would help.
Mm. To me, it's an increasing consciousness when we do that,
Yeah,
to actually apply some thought, and
yeah,
it increases our awareness around not only our work but ourselves, and then in turn each other as well. So,
yeah,
it's all well and good in this day and age to just take a photo, bang it on social media,
yeah,
get the dopamine hits from the likes and the comments, but
yeah.
then what's it actually achieved? Whereas if you're perhaps leaving a thought and some words and perhaps something that makes somebody think, then all of a sudden we're growing and
Right.
expanding, which to me is exactly what the trees do. They're always in pursuit of growth
Yeah,
and expansion. So why wouldn't we do the same?
precisely. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's made me, even on, like I said, on this conversation, I've now started to think about it even more and more deeply because of that. I realise what I'm doing, but I'm not sharing. And I think
Mm.
some people on a small, even on a small scale, that like my stuff will benefit if I explain a bit more. But
Personally, I think that there's a huge
yeah,
benefit to doing it. Yeah, I would be very interested
yeah,
in reading some more. Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
We're going to have to go through this again, but you were just talking about how, yeah, maybe the things that you've taken from this conversation and how they're going to help you moving forward. So if you could just pick up where you left off there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I honestly didn't realise how much I needed this conversation either.
Right.
Um, so it's been great for me talking to somebody who's got a good thought process, wants to make things better or deeper understanding. I mean, I knew what I was roughly doing, taking photos, and I hope people were enjoying it. But it's now making me look at it in a bigger light now, thinking actually I need to explain more why to help other people that might need a bit more understanding. And you've given me that thought. Yeah, I just didn't know I needed to talk to someone very that in depth in photography before because I never have.
Right.
It's always just been that's a nice photo.
Right. Yeah. Well,
So actually,
glad
jumping
to have,
into it was
yeah.
great.
Oh, I'm glad to have had the conversation with you. And it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the past hour or so.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay. Thanks, Alex.